This video is an audio-focused experience. Proper visuals will return soon to the Sleepy Crest channel, but this one's an experiment of sorts. You see, apparently most people just tab out of analysis-type content, and I've been told time and time again that I spend way too much time on visuals that most people just frankly don't watch. So why try? All that I ask is that you actually listen to my words. Those are the rules for this video. You're not allowed to just turn your brain off. The idea of making nothing content, of just being someone's background noise, their TV static, or falling rain, kinda makes me sad, you know? Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. Let me know in the comments if you actually watch my videos or just listen to them. Truly, either answer is fine. I just want to get a consensus so that I can temper my future endeavors. And this isn't saying that there's either going to be godlike visuals or no visuals. There can be a middle ground. Just let me know what you all think. Okay, spiel over. Obby time. Also, spoilers for all of Omori. Aubrey is a master of internalizing. When Mari passed on, everyone in the group had valid reasons for doing what they did. That much she even admits in the big group hug. However, her coming to that conclusion doesn't invalidate her rationale for acting like she did. Despite what she says from time to time, Aubrey isn't stupid. She would be stupid if she didn't change, but she did change. See, it can both be true that she felt abandoned by those she needed most, and that everyone else doesn't see it that way. The world isn't black and white. Aubrey is both justified in lashing out with harsh words and actions, and unjustified at the same time. That sounds like a contradiction, I know, but what I'm talking about becomes crystal clear in the church fight. Have any of you ever been to a really conservative church? The type that makes you sweaty around the neck if you're not the devout type? I have. A few times in fact, but one time in particular really stands out to me. It was an Easter sermon at my grandmother's Baptist church that she attended every Sunday. The church had recently gotten a new pastor, and he had some words for the people in the audience who were attending with family that day. It's been years, so I'm paraphrasing, but it was something along the lines of, "If you're here only because of a family member wanted you to be here, you are the worst person imaginable. You are going to hell, you sinner. You don't belong in the house of God unless you're here every Sunday and for God." As he preached essentially the 2-hour version of that, there were so many people in the audience doing the usual amen and murmuring amongst themselves. My family famously only ever went to church on Easter because of my grandma wanting us all to go, and I remember feeling so small at that time. I recall church being a more peaceful time before, but clearly I wasn't allowed the same peace as everyone else who was devout. Same went for my immediate family. Because we weren't the devout type and tended to act a little different, we were not in the same strata as those who were. This isn't to deconstruct anyone's faith. I think religion can be a beautiful thing and has helped and will continue to help many people. I don't know if I myself believe in a higher power, but if you do, that is a wonderful thing. Don't let anyone take that away from you. However, I will critique churches. Churches can create this extremely toxic atmosphere. It's a bubble where the same views are repeated by people who all agree until the ideologies are all pushed to their logical extremes. When I was a little kid, I'm talking little, like not even in grade school, that very same church was far more accepting. I remember very distinctly a blue-haired lesbian couple attending and being accepted into the community. That's something that would not be the case today. It's sad to see, but because a lot of those people were in a bubble, they eventually just pushed the more fringe types away. Again, this isn't attacking religion. No, the point I'm making is that a group who is predispositioned to certain ways of thinking, be it through church or by proxy of life, will make assumptions of people who are unfamiliar. The pastor and the people in the audience agreeing with him all made baseless assumptions of people like me and my family based on things they had heard or had seen. They latch onto the concept of the other, which in this case means the idea of someone who you make out to be your enemy or scapegoat based on what's influenced you. I bring all this up because Aubrey is the other to the church attendees in Omori. The attendees, who appear to be older and more set into their ways of thinking, the more insular types. And this is notable because the youthful pastor is the only one who actually treats Abi with compassion. He is willing to change his outlook. For the people in the audience, though, Aubrey is simply not like them. She dresses odd, she acts differently, she keeps to herself. Aubrey is there for the same reasons as everyone else, to find some semblance of peace in the Word of God. Yet, because she doesn't fit in snugly with the culture like everyone else, they all make fucked up assumptions about her. To them, Aubrey was always expected to act out eventually. Be it because of the people she surrounds herself with or her missing father figure, they all have this idea of Aubrey in their head, this punk, trashy degenerate who will only bog down the lives of those around her. They all have this idea of Aubrey in their heads. She is the scapegoat for why their grandkids aren't interested in going to church anymore. Of all the things they say, though, what stings the most is the line that Aubrey's mother is "oh, so unfortunate to have a daughter like her." Again, these peeps seem to be extremely conservative, so the fault is never with the parent. I love the church fight with Aubrey and the dialogue that plays during. The stuff said about Aubrey during the encounter is all short-sighted conclusions made on flimsy logic. It's a purely emotional response on their part, and it's clearly wrong, right? No need to answer, yeah, it is. It's also wrong that Aubrey has literally been doing that with regards to her old friends for years now. She made conclusions about them, and now her line of thinking is being thrown back into her face. It's such a hurtful affair, and as you can imagine, all of this clearly eats at Aubrey immensely. If that's the case, and we can recognize that the logic of projecting conclusions onto people is wrong, then why do I say Aubrey is partly justified for literally doing just that? The answer to that, my lovely listener, all comes down to circumstance. Aubrey's home situation is never really delved into. We only see it from the outside looking in, which is fitting, I think. One, because of just logic. Do you ever talk to your friends about their living circumstances often? Especially if it's something they don't want to talk about, if it's uncomfortable for them? Call this a leap, but in the brief glimpse of when the gang first met Aubrey, she seemed not living in the best circumstances already. Her friends, after meeting them, become her all. That's why she was so jovial around them, that's what she was living for. Outside of that though, from what we do see, Aubrey's life may be a wreck at home, but her mom isn't abusive. From the looks of it, her mom doesn't do anything. Regarding moms, I bet that's something Sunny and Aubrey could bond over. Point is, Aubrey lives in a household with a parent who doesn't care about her, doesn't ask about her interests, nor her feelings about things. It may not have always been that way, but it makes sense for explaining why Aubrey is the way she is as we see her in the present day. Someone who isn't comfortable with her feelings, yet is encompassed by them. She internalizes and comes to conclusions quickly because to her, moping on the point means she'll be stuck in one place, stagnant, alone, and overwhelmed. Just like she was left when Mari died. Aubrey fears that, so she keeps on moving and refuses to look back. Which, yeah, has led her to take the company of some less than good people. They steal and can be bullies, which isn't the best influence. However, consider again that all of this is only from Sunny's perspective, a viewpoint that doesn't see the full picture, as it were. Aubrey's friends were bullying Basil, but that's because Basil was erasing the memories of Mari. Basil had his reasons. The guilt is literally eating him alive. But to Aubrey, could you imagine seeing someone blot out your best friend in a bunch of old images? Treat her like a stain that shouldn't exist. Not to mention, a friend whose death you still can't process to this day. Those pictures are really all that's left of Mari except for a grave that is painful for everyone to visit. Now, imagine your conflict at seeing those pictures being defiled. Of course she steals the scrapbook. Of course she tries to fix the images. Of course she doesn't want to confront Basil about it. She opens up to Kim and by proxy the rest of her new friend group about it because she feels safe with them. They are the one pillar in her life that she can count on. The picture of her and Kim in Aubrey and Kim's respective rooms is proof of that. Basil was Aubrey's friend. She hates what he did to the pictures of Mari, naturally, but she doesn't want to antagonize him for it. Which is why it's not Aubrey who's talking to Basil when you see him for the first time. It's Kim. Kim wants to protect Aubrey from a situation Aubrey doesn't know how to deal with. You can say what you want about the methods, but Kim is a really good friend. Hell, in my opinion, half of the reason Aubrey can open up and isn't a shell of a person like her mom is because she has a friend like that. Furthermore, this doesn't mean that Kim and all the other hooligans are a replacement for the gang. They're not. No one can be a replacement for someone else after all. It's okay to move on and make new friends, but the vibe with a new group of people isn't and should never be the same. You can't replace people. The way Abby hangs out with her new friends is intrinsically different from the way she hangs out with, say, Sunny. But that's normal. Think about yourself in the moment next time you're with someone. Then compare that to how you are with another person around you. It's gonna feel different. You're gonna act slightly off kilter when comparing one to another. Everyone conducts themselves a little differently around different people. Not even intentionally, it's just something most of us do. I love how Omori gets this idea across. With the gang, Aubrey talks a lot more plainly. Her words are flatter and more to the point. Because she's known them since she was little, she doesn't dress anything up. Meanwhile, with the hooligans, she isn't as frank. Her language is also a good bit more lax. She uses a bit more slang, a bit more modern flair. She's far more used to talking to them, but isn't as direct. It's a small detail, but as per usual, Omori knocks it out of the park. More on what I was talking about before though, Aubrey's disposition. When we see her for the first time, she is so f***ing done. She tries to be anyway. It's a feeling you can see emanating from her boss sprite. Look at those eyes, those baggy teal eyes with so much contempt and just sheer ambivalence. The stuff with Basil is relatively recent, so she's trying fast to get away from the malaise of it all. Again, this is an Aubrey who is still in the mindset of making conclusions quickly. However, what might seem like a toxic mentality can quickly be inverted for good. Once she actually sits down and thinks for a second, she's quick to realize where she went wrong. She runs from pain at a breakneck pace, but she also runs towards it and accepts it at the same rate. Aubrey processes things all at once. She can get overwhelmed and shut down, but she always gets back up again. Something I've never seen anyone talk about is that Aubrey essentially did what Kel did before Kel. She tried to reconnect with Basil. She was trying to open up and course correct all on her own. To get the gang back together, essentially. Just Basil was the first step. Of course, things went awry when she saw the pictures of Mari, but she was taking the right steps. Where she differs from Kel is jumping the emotional gun on things, which led to everyone being hurt in the end. Still, Aubrey was never cold-hearted. She's just kinda tired of it all and putting on a slowly collapsing front. In the church confrontation, she takes everything said about her to heart. She bolts off afterwards because she's reached her breaking point. Between the pictures, the gang coming back into her life, feeling indebted to her new friends, and the harsh realities of her existence flooding her mind, I think that's understandable. Anyone would break under such circumstances. That she can hold it together for so long, one, shows the strength of her character, but two, shows how much she still cares. When it comes to Mari, how she feels about her old friends, and the distance between her and her loved ones. It quite literally means everything. Love how the track that plays during the fight conveys that so beautifully. I said earlier that Aubrey's friends were her all. That never stopped being the case for her. She cares about them so much that it hurts her and she doesn't know how to deal with it. But after the fight, she starts learning how to do that. There's a good bit of turmoil after this, of course, notably with her pushing Basil into the lake in an emotional moment, but she apologizes and is able to rectify all of her actions. I love the comparison of her portraits from before and after reconnecting with the gang. She becomes a lot more content. It shows through visual cues that Aubrey is now a more contemplative person. She thinks about things before she says them and all that. For example, when she sees Sunny for the first time in years, she pokes fun at his hikikomori ways. But it's after a moment of hesitation. She was thinking for a brief second before jumping to the conclusion she had already made that her old friends were all bad. Compare that to when we actually see what she was thinking about there. There's a scene you can get by using the swing set where she apologizes for her abrasiveness and says that she was really happy to see him again. You could garner something similar from her being taken aback at seeing him initially, and furthermore by her refusing to attack Sunny, but I really adore this scene being here. It contrasts how Aubrey is to how she wants to be. Aubrey, as described multiple times, wears her emotions on her sleeve, which makes her vulnerable. Extremely so. She wants to be strong and stand on her own. She wants to be independent from her friends. After all, when she depended on them most, they weren't there. That tempers a lot of her thoughts. However, just as she changed as a person, so did they. They won't make the same mistakes they did before. Everyone can be happy and together again. Everyone can win. Even and especially after receiving some particularly heavy truths. This is going to dip into maybe a bit of headcanon, but bear with me. I think upon learning the truth about Mari, Aubrey would probably be the one to react the most at first. Probably yelling and crying enough for everyone in the room. But there's also not a doubt in my mind that she wouldn't be the first to come around. Two reasons for that. One is her inherent nature. She's quick to get emotional, yeah, but as shown by her quickly reconciling with the gang after literal years of baggage, Aubrey is also quick to understanding. She'd hear Basil and Sunny out even if straining herself immensely to do so. Second thing though, she did the exact same thing Sunny did, beat for beat. They both got emotional over a respective sore spot. Sunny felt too incompetent to play with Mari, and Aubrey was angry over Basil ruining the pictures of Mari. And then both, not even thinking about what would happen, pushed a loved one away. More than anyone else in the cast, Aubrey would understand Sunny's emotions in that moment, which, while not erasing the years of pain, would make her come around. I like to think about the optional scene I mentioned earlier where Aubrey and Sunny are sitting on the swing. It's kinda indicative of that future. She shows a genuine worry for Sunny in a way no one else does. Which is fine, everyone handles how to treat people they care for differently from the next, but personally, I think what Aubrey does here hits home the most. She just asks him to call and visit as much as possible. It's such a genuine moment, and I really like that she's the only one that confronts the issue directly. Kel is more of a physical dude. He tackles it by physically taking Sunny outside. Hiro just tries to encourage Sunny, but Aubrey talks about it directly. It's a nice little variation between the three characters. They all feel very, very alive. Regardless of the strife, I think moments like that where Aubrey is consoling Sunny would set the tone for the future. They both care about each other and all that, you know. Point is, they'll all be one big happy family again. Another point in the basket of Sleepy doesn't understand how anyone thinks Omori has a depressing ending. All in all, Aubrey is pretty cool. I mean, right? She's so cool. She's just really neat. I hope you think so too after watching this video. My Black Space 2 burnout is finally over, so expect more Omori character analysis soon, as well as maybe a few videos on certain moments and character designs. Again, tell me in the comments if you miss well-edited videos, if you always tab out, or if you're just ambivalent. If you do just want my sweet voice in your ears at all times, please give me money on Patreon. I have a solo podcast that updates regularly, as well as some writings, and hell, pay me enough and I will do a video about whatever topic you fancy. Like the video and comment your favorite Aubrey moment. Spoilers, the correct moment is all of them.